This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to all our viewers to and beyond Ngala, where we're looking at a beautiful sunrise here in the Tswalu River. Welcome aboard your very own live safari from the African wild. What a beautiful view indeed. And so this morning we've decided to start off in the Tswalu River just to see what we could find, and it was actually quite fitting that we heard a fish eagle call somewhere behind us. What a lovely way to start the day. Well, my name is Fred, and behind the camera we've got Craig. And a little bit later on we were thinking of maybe heading towards where we left the lions from last night, and just to see if we can find out where they've been going and see what they've been up to. But for now, we're going to spend time just driving a little bit of the riverbed and see what we can find. And actually, with those fish eagles calling behind us, it reminds me of a question from, I believe it was John last night, or yesterday afternoon, that asked about the different calls of the fish eagle. Did a bit of reading, and it was not too easy to find out. One reference did say, though, that there's at least two known calls. The one being the classic call that we all know, either when they're flying or perching. And then there's another call that they apparently make in the surroundings of the nest, which is described as a quack sound. Now, I've never heard that, but it would be very interesting to hear that at some stage. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are more calls that we just maybe not aware of. But yeah, so far at least two potential calls for the fish eagle. I have to say, this riverbed is probably my favorite place to drive on the whole reserve. You can see lots of activity and tracks of different animals, lots of elephant dung, places where elephants have been digging. So most of the animals on the reserve would use this river. Tracks of lots of different antelope, impalas, kudus, and two other antelope species, the nyala and the bushbuck, which we don't often see in other parts of the river too often. They like to use the thick riverbed vegetation. Fresh anticipation in the air this morning. Very excited for what potentially might be around the next corner. For now, we're going to send you off to have a look at the weather in the different locations. Well, Fred, it is potentially everywhere. We've just come down the road and bumped into three lions running past us. It's three of the sub-adult Talamatis, and they don't look happy at all. They, like I say, are running all over the place. They're not with the pride. I don't know if maybe
these guys have had a bit of an issue last night where they've run into other males. It's very, very possible. Sorry about the wiping of the lens, everybody. There's a bit of misting that's taking place because of the cold this morning. But you can see we're trying to keep up with them, and they're just running straight south. Now, last night they were moving north steadily as a pride. But this morning, it's just kind of craziness. Anyway, my name's Tristan. On camera, I've got Davy, and it's nice to have you all aboard. You can see they've slowed down a bit now. That time of the morning where one needs to just alleviate one's bowels. But you can see the lead ones that they're not going slowly. They're in a bit of a mission, and you'll find when this one's finished pooping, I'm pretty sure that it's going to run to catch up with the others. When you see this kind of thing, when you see sub-adults separated from pride members, and it's clear that they're not hunting, and they start doing that, something's gone on. I wouldn't be surprised this S8 male, maybe when he was traveling back from Nkoro yesterday, has got involved somehow, although we didn't hear any audio of any fighting, so it's interesting that they're running like this. Anyway, you'll see the cloth again. Please, I'm not going to apologize every single time, but there will be Davy's hand from time to time as the sun starts to come up. It causes a lot of fogging. All right, you lot, what's going on? Because the rest of the pride's tracks are going up from last night. And now these guys, for some reason, are coming south. The only thing I can think of, I mean, look, they're still running. What's going on, guys? Shame, they're obviously nervous of something. I don't know, if they keep running, I might leave them just because I don't want to stress them out. They're clearly responding to the fact that I'm following them at times as well. If they start to settle down and start to walk, then it'll be okay, we'll carry on. But I don't really want to be chasing them around and making them feel more uncomfortable. There's clearly something already has been, has disturbed and split the pride. The pride's not going to be splitting for just, fun. Especially last night, they were actively hunting. We know with the buffalo, for those of you that missed it, they had a big standoff for the herd of buffalo last night. So, they would have actively tried to stay together and find food. So this kind of split that you're seeing now is not something we'd expect. It might actually be one adult lioness and then two sub-adults. There's definitely one of the sub-adult boys is with us. So stop and listen. They're listening. See, they're contact calling. Shame, I think they're trying to find the rest of the pride. So you can hear these little contact calls. What could have also happened, if it's not a male that split them, they could have been split in a hunt. So when they were chasing something, the pride got split and they couldn't find each other afterwards. And so what they're doing now is backtracking and calling in the hopes that they can hear the others calling back. It's just soft contact calls for now. Amazing how when they do it, then they stop and they listen just to try and pick up the rest of them. But so far, I don't hear any response from anybody. And if they had heard a response, they would have started heading in that direction pretty quickly. So let's see where they take us to. They've calmed down now. They're not running, which is fine. Then it's okay for us to follow them. As I was saying, I just didn't want to chase them or make them feel uncomfortable with our presence if they were under stress. It's important for us out here to be good to the animals and not deliver any undue stresses on them. And if they're in a situation where they've had a bit of a rough time with, other lions during the night or something like that, you don't want to add undue stress to them. So always better just to... there's another one here. It's going to come from next to us. It's just called from behind us. Oh, there we go. There's one of the boys. Hello. Well, that's nice to see. There's another one that's just arrived. So the two boys are here. They're looking fantastic, these two. They're getting big, big, big. And you can can see already the darkness starting to happen on the back legs of this male. I can hear more behind us, calling from a back behind where we've just come from. Yeah, there's definitely more lions calling from where we first found them. Proper roars now. You can hear there's a lion that's properly roaring behind us. Just keep up with these ones. I'm sure that one will catch up. These guys didn't run at that sound, so they're not worried about that sound, which is a good sign. If that was a pursuing male that they don't know, these guys would have been gone. They would have run quickly to get out of here, and they didn't. They just sort of strolled off. So I'd imagine that's either the evoker or one of the adult females that's just called behind us. Wonder what's happened here and why they split like this. It'll be interesting too if the evoker's with these guys. That's going to be very, very interesting because, he's almost, it's like he's tagging along with the sub-adults. And maybe what's happening is there's females coming into estrus and that's attracting the attention of other males. And this evoker feels like, he needs to kind of stay with them to avoid conflict as they try and leave the area. But we'll figure it out slowly but surely as the morning rolls on and the pride sort of comes together and settles. We'll start to be able to piece together the picture. In the meantime, though, I'll send you across to Steve to say good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the dawn here at Eco Training Pridelands, and how exciting, Tristan, to start off with the pride of lions. Hello everybody, my name is Steve, joined by Gert on a wonderful 12 degrees Celsius morning, 56 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's alright, we've got gloves, jackets. Gert is not wearing any, he's going to get warm. So, good morning. This morning we found some tracks of the wild dogs who left over here up and down. We're going to move into this block here, see if we can maybe track them down. There's going to be a few other people quite interested to find them. So do you want to come along, join us? Any questions and comments you might have for us here on Eco Training Pridelands, please do send them through. But just for the moment, a nice peaceful start to the morning, just before we get moving. Nice to find a nice sunny spot and sunbathe. Very important in the morning to get some sun, recharge the batteries, some vitamin D. We woke up this morning to quite overcast conditions, which made it a little bit warmer, and now that has parted, and the freshness. Newsflash, what a stunning morning indeed. Now let's see if we can top yesterday morning's walk. Yesterday morning's walk was incredible. The objective was to track down some buffalo, and well, we did that. We did that indeed with some wild dogs as well, which is very special. Probably one of the highlights of my walks in my life, actually. Never spent that amount of time with wild dogs on foot, let alone on a vehicle. Okay, so we're going to move into that direction, see if we can pick up on the tracks of these wild dogs, and we're going to head over to Beyond Panda to say good morning to Kim.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to and Beyond Panda. We have got a very beautiful post-sunrise shot, I'll say, because the sun has risen. As you can see, it's quite high up, but there's some really low and far-reaching cloud cover that's kind of prolonging the beauty of the sunrise. It's pretty epic, and we've come down to the floodplain here on Panda. If you were watching last night, there were some elephants that we were with. They were heading in this direction. I was expecting them to be here, but there's a very large portion of the floodplain that we can't see at this point. There's some wildebeest. 2 giant kingfishers just flew over. I don't know if you heard them. And yeah, good morning. I'm Kim. Behind camera, we've got OD. Just got quite excited about those kingfishers. And I mean, if you see behind me, you can actually see one flying down to the water there. Move out the way. I don't know where they've landed, but pretty epic is that there never used to be water down here. It was just grass, and after all the rain we've had this summer, it's become it's become a river. It was always a river, but it was just kind of a grassy riverbed. And you can see, see that, Odie did well to keep with that giant kingfisher there. But it just means that there have been so many new species of birds and animals coming down to the floodplain that weren't here before. So, for example, like the kingfisher, obviously wouldn't have seen before. We've seen rosy-throated longclaw, which is very exciting. And then the elephants tend to visit quite a lot more down here now that there's such a large source of water. Very, very pretty scenes here, though, this morning. All right, I think we will... Okay. Okay, we're going to send you to Lauren. I think we're going to scoot down onto the floodplain, go around the side and see if those elephants aren't there. But for now, we'll send you over to Lauren.
Spending your morning with Kalamba is not easy, my goodness. Anyway, good morning everyone. My name is Lauren. I do have info on camera, and we do have Miss Kalamba, but I am not sure we're going to be able to show you her anymore. She was right in front of the car. Let's see what we can do here. She is a very busy bee. She was also extremely busy last night as well. Okay, Mpo, are you holding on? At least it is winter. I can no longer feel my fingers. But it means that the vegetation is definitely not as thick. I think we might have to let this one go, everyone. Oh, we do have a lovely, beautiful orb spider there. We will come back to you. Okay, we'll do a little search here. And then we may call it. Okay, everyone. I shall do my very best here. I'm going to send you guys across to Tristan.
As you can see, the evoker male's caught up with this. It was him that was roaring. I was pretty sure it was. But he's caught up. He caught up with the sub-adults and kind of rubbed up with them for a little bit. And now he's just watching them as they're walking into the bush and disappearing out of view. It's amazing, though, to see the size of this sub-adult male. He's not much smaller than this evoker. Obviously, the mane is a huge difference, but in height and bulk, the oldest of the young males is certainly getting some size on him. He's not far off the body size of the Avoca. He's just got to obviously develop the mane and still a bit of growth in the head. But the Avoca is just watching. I can't even see where the rest have gone now. I don't know if he's too keen on following them, but I'd like to follow the rest of them because it would be interesting to see if we get a reunion of the pride, or if we can find where the others have gone. I think it'll be worthwhile following them. Although, a roar from him would be quite nice in this morning light. He roars when he loses track of them and he can't see them anymore. Then he starts to make a noise to try and just assert himself, and at least now he's kind of on his way to try and follow them. Walking quite well this morning. Not sporting any cuts or scrapes or any sort of signs of fighting, but the fact that his presence is with the sub-adults tends to suggest that whatever happened last night, they were separated, I personally think, by another male, because if he feels like he can't fight that male, he's going to separate with the young ones, because they're at the most risk. Remember, these little young males are the ones that are at the most risk out here from new males. He's accepting of them, but some others aren't. So he needs to just be very, very careful with moving around and kind of confronting males. And if the sub-adults are also careful, then it makes sense that he's broken off with them. And that's why he's together with the younger boys rather than with the females. The females themselves won't worry about a new male because they can deal with themselves. They can pretend to be an estrus. They can, be fairly kind of flirty and defer the aggression of that male. But, he's got no ability to do that, and neither do the sub-adult males. They have to just either run or confront what's in front of them. So it's very different for them than it is for the adults, and that's maybe why we've seen a little bit of a split this morning. I don't know. It's like I say, time will tell. His roar bellowing out, I would have expected if there was another male following the pride for that roar to also come back at him, but you never know. We'll try and figure it out. All right, we're going to try and follow him. He'll catch up with the rest, I'm sure, as we move into the sun. In the meantime, hopefully the rest of the pride hears these roars and also comes back and we get a reunion.
Welcome.
If you love to watch Wild Earth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions. Join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day. Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want the wildebeest cross. Is it trying? The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky wildebeest. You have another day to leave.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
So good morning from Tswalu Kalahari. It's again another cold morning, and my name is John. I'm going to be your guide for the morning. Behind the camera we've got BK. This morning we're going to see if we can find some tracks of some lions. We've had some audio early this morning, so we have an idea of where to look. And that's the plan for the morning. So hopefully we get it right. Hopefully we're lucky. Hopefully we find some nice big cats out. Perhaps even hunting this morning. I'd known. So a question from Daniel, whether or not Kalahari lions Daniel, that's a great question. Their behavior doesn't change much, apart from the fact that obviously in winter out here, the temperature, the evening, the nighttime temperature, it gets bitterly cold. So the obvious change that you might see with their behavior is that whereas they are more typically moving in the late afternoon into the night, as we hit the winter season, as the temperature drops, you're going to find big cats will be moving a lot earlier in the afternoon, they'll be moving a lot later in the morning. A lot of their activity will take place then in what we would consider to be the warmer hours. That would really be the behavior change, and it's also related to the other wildlife. Animals are not doing a huge amount of movement when it's freezing, so the lions would naturally have to adapt as well to, for hunting and for everything else. Yeah, you can see the sun slowly appearing over the mountains there. It's again the start of another really beautiful day. Clear skies. Hopefully it warms up a little bit later. I know today we're looking at a temperature in the low 20s. So luckily this morning no wind, which is just perfect for game viewing. Justin, again, it's an interesting question. What I have seen is in the winter season, it's certainly a better time for predators. If you look at a lot of the species that they prey on, winter is always a tough couple of months. These animals will need to move between water, which is obviously very limited in this environment, and they'll need to move back to areas where there's good food supplies for them. With that, food is not easy to find, so naturally in the winter season, a lot of animals slowly but surely start losing body condition. And this benefits lions. You know, it benefits lions in that they technically are going to be hunting animals that are slowly but surely getting a little bit weaker as they lose body condition. With species when they are struggling to find food and water, and their condition is slowly starting to diminish a little bit, you'll also find that the alertness levels of the animals, you know, the alertness levels, they start to drop as well. So ultimately, things just become a little bit easier for lions. Not so easy in that their camouflage or their vegetation they can hide through is becoming less and less. But lions are perfectly suited for colouring-wise for the low vegetation in the winter months. But from here, we're going to keep going. We're going to see if we can find some tracks, and we're going to be cutting across and heading off to have a look at some lions.
Well, John keeps searching and looking for lion tracks. We're still with the Evoker, but I think he's lost the rest of them, and we haven't seen them either since he delayed us a little bit. So we're just doing circles now. He's got his nose to the ground, trying to find where the pride actually went. And maybe not the pride, but at least these sub-adults. So we're just kind of trying to keep up with them. I'm hoping, though, that if he does kind of lose touch enough, that maybe he starts to make a bit of a noise. The lions are on the dam cam. I was just about to say, we're heading back towards the dam. So that makes a lot of sense that he's done this loop. Now they've obviously just did a big loop in the block here to try and kind of investigate something. And they've now popped out on the dam cam, because if you look where we are is straight down to the dam cam. So obviously they just turned and went straight down, and he's slowly plodding along behind them now. I'm hoping, though, that his kind of loss of them prompts him to make a noise and roar. It's amazing, though, how efficient this nose is that they have. I mean, he literally is walking the exact straight route to where those lions are right now. And when you watch him, he's not doing it via sight. He's doing it via his nose. So he walks with his nose down, and then he just basically picks up the scent of the females and follows that along. It's amazing. Or the sub-adult males. Imagine if we had a nose like that, how much fun it would be to track. I think it would be amazing. I can actually see the dam cam from where I am now. Where have you lost them? They're just in front of you. He might let off a little bellow for us. It'd be nice if he does. You can see that swollen joint of his. Look at how his nose is down. See, he's sniffing. Facing the wrong way, boy. You were going the right way. Little contact. A little contact call. Now sometimes that contact call will be frustrating enough for him when they don't answer that he needs to use a bigger roar for everybody to listen. Let's see if he does. That's not ideal. Get rid of that. We don't want stumps hitting us in the head. David, are you alright? Very wonderful. I actually had once, I was working at a lodge where one of the guides was driving, and it happened exactly like that, where you just clip the edge of the stick and it just pops up. Shame, and it hit this lady in the face and it split her whole face open. So one must be careful when one is off-roading here. But sticks like that, you'll never know. You're just going to have to... I can see where the other lines are there in front of us. So sticks like that, you've just got to, unfortunately, it's part and parcel. You'll never see it in this long grass. That stick is almost invisible, but if you just clip it in the wrong way, then you get this issue. I'm going to just park here because he should come out in front of us. The rest of the lions are crossing the dam wall. Boy, you're going the wrong way. The rest of them are that side. Interesting to see how long it takes him to realize that they haven't walked there. He did well up until this point. But you can see that nose is down the whole time. It's exactly where we had the wild dogs yesterday evening. They were also running around this section. So interested if they pick that up as well, or if that confuses them in amongst the scent of the lions. Hear him contact calling. There we go. Just realised, hang on a second, they've moved. Keep him quiet because he's talking. You hear him just talking. So Susan, no, he isn't bothered by our presence. As you can see, he's not really paying much attention to us. If he was bothered by us, you'd see him looking over his shoulder, staring at us, keeping his head down, trotting away from us. That would be a bothered animal, or an animal that's got his ears down, tail flicking, snarling and growling. That's bothered animals. This guy couldn't care. He's too busy looking for the pride to worry about us. You hear him? Now's the time for him to let out a roar, is right here. You can see, look, he's going to walk right past us now, Susan, and he's not going to worry about us at all. Look at his head. His head is staying down, and he's busy sniffing, so he's trying to find. Now, the rest of them walked across there, so he's on the right track now. Isn't that amazing? You see how he walked and all of a sudden picked up the scent? He's like, nope, this is not the right. They've turned here. Immediately come back. He's not getting any audio from them. I can't hear them. I can hear him, but I can't hear them. And now he's just, like I say, he's walking the right way now. He'll catch up with them, hopefully. The rest of them, can you see them, David? There's the dam cam. Yes, thank you, David, for showing the dam cam. It's a very useful tool that helps us to be able to find animals from time to time. You guys keep a good finger on the pulse, so to speak, of where things are and what's going on when they come through here. And it helps us just formulate plans every drive according to what gets seen off this camera or what gets heard as well. Yeah, they're all lying on the dam wall. There you go, boy. Look, you've caught up with them. Was that so difficult? Donna, he's now... must be close to 8 now. Yeah, I think so. Just got to remember the dates. Is it 8? I'll check now. I'll double check. It's been a while that I actually thought, since I've thought when they were born. I can't remember if it's 2015 or 2013. One of the two. So yeah, he's theoretically supposed to be in his prime. Unfortunately, he picked up an injury early on, and that's why he's a bit limpy and a bit ropey at times. Beautiful mane though, this male, especially that chest area. Nice big kind of fluffy chest, and he's still got a bit of hair that has to grow on top for him to be really impressive. There we go, scent marking. You found the rest of them. Well done. I was hoping we get a roar out of him, but I don't think we will now. I think he's going to lie down next to them and just plop down. We'll see. We'll see how we go. What might be quite nice is for us to get down and round them and have a nice low-angle view of them. Give us a really good view of how big they are when they lie like that. As long as he doesn't lie slap bang in the middle of the road, we'll be okay to get round them. Alright, so while we try and see where we're going to park and how we're going to do this, let's send you across to Phinda. I believe they're on the open plains.
Welcome back. So we've come all the way around the floodplain and there are no elephants, but there are some waterbuck who are looking very beautiful and very alert. And I do not know if you can see it, but I will point it out. There's a tiny little baby whose ears are just barely visible above the grass. How sweet is that? I wish you could see more of it, because waterbuck calves are my favorite antelope babies. They are so fluffy. I mean, you can see the adults are extremely fluffy as well. And I'm sure that you know that most young animals are a lot more fluffy than the adults. So you can imagine, with these adults already being fluffy, just how fluffy that youngster would be. It's also a male making his way over to them. There he is. How beautiful those horns. So proud. And what lovely markings, that very prominent white kind of eyebrow. And then the very obvious white ring on their rump. It's quite funny because we were sitting here all very calmly and they suddenly all scattered, but it looks like they're all kind of making their way back to one another. The males rejoining them. There's a few more on the left. I can't see them now, but they are kind of slowly making their way back into the herd. Edward, they do look like teddy bears. Teddy bears are on quite long legs, but yeah, they are extremely fluffy. I really wish that the grass wasn't so long so that we could get a better look at that little one. But I mean, even the adults look quite teddy bear-like with those rounded ears, and there's a little one. You can just see its ears and just see its eye above the grass. I always think that these are kind of our version of, or the African version of reindeer with that fluff. They look a bit like reindeer, and they're very fluffy, and that pretty heart-shaped nose. Oh, the male looked like he was showing some interest. Oh, she's also been quite submissive, lifting her tail like that to him. See what he's doing there, lifting his upper lip? That's called a Fleming Grimace. And what they actually do there is, I don't think he managed to get an actual stream of urine, maybe just a smell, but they actually will put their tongue into a stream of urine or just up against the bum of a female, and they are testing the pheromones and hormones that female is releasing, and he'll be testing whether or not she's ready to mate, whether or not she's in estrus. He's got a organ at the back of his palate called the Jacobson organ, and that's where he kind of puts the urine to test. Tammy, no, I've not seen mating waterbuck actually. I don't think that I've seen mating waterbuck. I can't quite remember. But no, I don't think I have. I don't think it's a difficult thing to see. We just don't have that many waterbuck on Phinda, so we don't see them and all their behaviour all that often. But as you saw there, he kind of pushed himself up against her and looked like he was about to mount, so I don't think they're very secretive about it, so I don't think it would be a difficult thing to observe. I just think that maybe I haven't had the opportunity just because we don't have a very big population of these animals on Phinda. When they were walking over, I was really hoping that they were going to walk into an area with shorter grass so that we could get a glimpse of that calf. But at the moment, everything is way too lush and dense, which is absolutely not a bad thing at all. The animal's very happy. For hiding purposes and feeding purpose. They've actually gone into a thicker area. I mean, you can hardly see that fully grown adult as well. Never mind the calf. It's such a beautiful morning. It's not even that cold, but the birds are singing. I think this cloud cover's keeping some of the warmth in. Like a big blanket over the reserve. I think what we are going to do from now is leave these waterbuck. We are going to start heading towards where we saw those elephants yesterday so that we can see which direction their tracks go, because I obviously misinterpreted where they'd end up over the night. But yeah, we're going to go back to where we had them yesterday and see where their tracks lead us.
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth explorers, it's in your nature.
Being a safari driver requires some serious multitasking ability. You've got to be able to talk, look at the road, steer, and occasionally get the vehicle into the right gear.
Do not crash into any trees. Oh, not so dozy.
Just jump into the car and hope for the best, and you'll see where it takes you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised they're moving as fast as that didn't go well.
Who is the best driver? Well, me, of course, although some of the cam ops might disagree.
I love being a cam op for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that is truly, truly magical.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Well, we're with our lions now who have basically decided to rest for the day. It's what we thought they would do eventually, is find a place to settle down. But it's really nice because we're sub-adult male, the big one. Yes. You're all right there. You made enough of a show. But we've got the sub-adult male with the voca male, and you can actually get a nice sort of size scale of the two. You can see his head still has to develop, but his actual body length and sort of body size is quite comparable to the voca, even the foot size. He's getting nice and bulky these days. So he'll be a nice lion when he grows up, that's for sure. And then next to him is my favorite of the sub-adult females. She's so pretty, this little female. She's got a kind of pinkish nose and then these light, almost white-grey eyes. She's super cute and curious. This cat is always the one that comes and looks at the vehicles and checks it out. And the other day I was at Timbeta in the hide, and they were at the pan in front of the camp. And that female took a particular interest in all of us sitting in the hide, and she kind of walked right up towards the sort of entrance of the hide and was just watching us there, and then sat down. This male, he wasn't really fazed by us. He just sat at the water watching, but most of them just flopped down and actually had a nap. But this little one on the left, she was very curious and kind of checked us out and then just sat and watched us. It was quite an experience to be kind of a few meters from them, and your eyes at the level of their paws makes for a feeling of just how big these guys are. You forget very quickly how large lions can be. They're massive creatures when you're up close with them. All right, well, we'll see. Keep sitting with them. I'm hoping that maybe we'll hear the rest of the pride contact calling. If not, we're going to backtrack these guys, see if we pick up the rest. In the meantime, though, let's send you back across to Steve.
Welcome back to Pridelands and to Ndlovu Dam, where we've got a herd of Ndlovus that have come through for a drink. Now, we were following tracks of wild dogs that were all over the place, but they seem to have moved all the way back to the north, and they've been located up where we had them yesterday. So we heard monkeys alarm calling quite close to Ndlovu Dam, so we came charging down to see what we could find. And this herd of elephants came streaming out of the drainage line, not showing a very relaxed nature. They ran all the way around the watering hole, moving quite quickly. Look at that little youngster. And so we quickly got onto some rocks, and we're now watching them have a little drink. But off to our right-hand side in the drainage system here, I think there might be something. We'll go and follow up on it after this. I'm just going to allow you to enjoy a nice quiet moment with our elephants at the watering hole. over such a peaceful scene indeed. Well, we're going to probably move on from our elephants, see if we can find what disturbed them in the drainage. In the meantime, send you over to Tswalu Kalahari.
So we are sitting now with a small group of red hartebeest. It's interesting creatures. It's the hartebeest is the second fastest of the African antelope, and only outclassed by the very similar looking creature called a tsesame. But you can see in this group there's maybe about 6 or 7 of them. They do have quite a young calf with them, which is always nice to see. I say young calf. Most of the calves are born towards the early part of summer, so he or she should have been born in about December time. So going on to a good 5 to 6 months old already. But yeah, a nice group, and they technically they usually living in herds of up to about 20. Certainly in this environment, we don't get much bigger herds. Other parts of Africa, they are recorded to be, sometimes up into the hundreds and thousands. But a typical group would be up to about 20. And it's a harem system, so the males are territorial. Often you'll see a male out on his own. He's looking after a piece of ground, and the ladies can come and go as they want. But there you can see the little one, the little calf. It's doing the right thing, sticking close to mom. Yeah, it was good to be close to mom when there's potential threats around. Nectar, it's a good question about topies. Topies, in fact, do not occur in southern Africa. So the place to be looking for topies is up in East Africa, up into Kenya and Tanzania. So in answer to your question, no, we don't get them in this part of the world, in Tswalu. And like I say, in fact, it's not a creature you'd find anywhere in southern Africa. You'd need to be heading up to East Africa to look for that guy. I'm going to slowly move up the road a little bit and see how they react. They can be a little bit shy out here, but let's see, maybe they give us another good view. See them on your screen? Arun, it's true what you're saying. They are very cool to see, and hartebeest. We're very privileged. Again, I keep saying privileged out here. We have such a good variety of species, and we have good numbers because of the terrain. But hartebeest, it's not something we see every day. They're very particular on where they are. And in a lot of cases, when we do see them, they do unfortunately try and keep a distance. You can see the ones we're watching at the moment, they are equally as curious of us as we are of them. So I think that's what's holding these ones there. They're interested to see what we're up to. You can see they're starting to move now. They've decided they've had enough of us. But interesting to watch how they move. They built for not only for speed but for intense stamina. So this is an antelope species that will move for miles. Ruby, I'm glad we were able to show you something new. It is a very special area for this kind of thing. We have a lot of species that would be very unique to this environment, and obviously they're not the easiest to find. So Ruby, I'm glad you're with us this morning, and watching these hartebeest live in real time. We're gonna see where they head off to, and we are going to be heading across to Lauren.
Well, looking for Kalamba was not easy, but look what we have found. Now, I'm just going to keep my radio on. We're the only one in this sighting, so of course other people will want to join. Now, parked quite far away because clearly these doggies are flat, but Impo, we're just going to slowly make our way a little bit closer now. That was very unexpected. We've been looping around for Kalamba. I tried to predict where she would pop out. I knew she was going to pop out on Cheetah Cutline. So Impo and I sat for about 15 minutes, tried to get a view of what's in front of me, a view of what's behind me. And then as we decide to give up, we go behind, and lo and behold, whose little tiny, petite, dainty little tracks pop out behind us? Yes, Kalambas. But we found the dogs. Everybody's been looking for you guys, There's a lot of vehicles looking for the mad dashers. Oh, I can smell them from here. Can you smell them, Impo? Okay, everyone, I will need your help, most likely with the ID. I wonder if it's the same pack from yesterday. I don't know. Good morning, all. Okay, I can only see 5 so far, but I think we've got a little bit of a better view in comparison to what I had yesterday morning, which means we probably will be able to ID them. I mean, it's 7:30 in the morning here, so most likely, I mean, we go out very, very late in the morning these days. Most likely, they've already killed. They've already sort of caused chaos, pandemonium, and killed. And normally by this time they are resting. Once those bellies get so full, it's obviously time to just rest and digest, like us all. Oh, beautiful. Let's get a little bit of a closer look, Impo, and see if we can pick out any of these markings. There we go. Those gorgeous mottled patterns. So, of course, we did mention this yesterday, but another reminder for you all, because I am very excited about it. The afternoon drive, the Sunset Safari, is now changing its timings. It's going to be an hour earlier, so we're not driving around in the dark so much. So it's from 2:30 till 6:30 Central African time. So wherever you are in the world, Google it, and they will convert it for you. But it's 2:30 till 6:30. Still 4 hours. I'm very excited about it. Beverly, what a question. Honestly, wild dogs, I know you all won't believe me. I mean, hyenas sometimes have gassy tummies, and that can be a bit of a slap in the face. But really, wild dogs, I mean, hyenas can smell terrible when they've been at a carcass, as can leopards, as can lions, but wild dogs have just this really strong urine, acidic, sour, bitter taste. Not taste, smell, but I feel like I can taste it. It's that strong. Oh, and I've found wild dogs multiple times through scent. It's definitely my best sense. I mean, I got my eyes lasered and my ears have taken years of diving to depths that I probably shouldn't have. But my nose is good. I really can't find dogs. So for me, and this is just my personal opinion, dogs smell worse. They do. But you can forgive them because they're so beautiful. And of course, they're Africa's second most endangered carnivore. And a lot of that, of course, it's down to humans. Of course, it's down to They've been shot year after year after farmers and people that keep livestock thinking that they're vermin. And of course then diseases. Canine distemper and rabies wiped out populations. But what you have to remember with dogs is that the pack is life. Life is pack. So if the pack is decimated through humans or through disease, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for dogs. They need that social interaction. They need that social life. They're highly sort of cooperative. They rely on one another. They're not a solitary animal like a leopard. And leopards survive completely on their own. James Richard, thank you so much. I was waiting on hearing that name. Sans pack, same pack as yesterday. So, I mean, we're on Cheetah Cut Line, obviously looking for Kalamba, and that's what I love about the bush. You're looking for one thing and you come across another thing. And, I mean, they haven't really moved that far. And they'll just go with the flow. That's another thing that's so wonderful about dogs. They just go. You don't have to waste time or energy. Excuse me. Bless me, should I say? They don't have to waste time marking, scent marking. I mean, Kalamba was so busy this morning. She's scent marking everywhere, right in front of the car. She's busy. She's on patrol. She's got a mission. She knows that she needs to sort of keep up her territory in order to be that dominant female. Wild dogs don't have to worry about that. They really only are sort of sedentary for 3 months of the year, and that's when they're denning. They really only stay in that same sort of spot, obviously, because of the young ones, and that's normally from May to July. They really don't defend territories, but they will defend den sites naturally. They've got their young in there. But they don't defend territory, and it's just a different lifestyle. They have a more nomadic, vagabond approach. They have the cutest ears in the entire world. And as many of you know, I spent time with the... Bear with me. Finosi, they should just be on your left.
Okay.
I'll go down and leave you in charge. Okay, radio off. Yes, I spent time with the Ethiopian wolf, and that's the #1 most endangered carnivore. This is #2. Second Chance. Great name. You love those white tails. I know, they're so floofy. Like a big floof. I don't really know what the word floof means, but I love it. They're huge in comparison to their bodies. And of course, black and white are colours, or should I say shades, to be technical, out here that really do signal a lot, especially to visual animals. And that's exactly what's happening here, is used in communication and a huge follow me sign for the youngsters, for the puppies. And they're so slim and so petite. I mean, if Kalamba really was to rock up here, which is not going to happen, you see the size difference. Wild dogs really are tiny. I mean, they're just marginally bigger than my beagle, but a lot slimmer than Puppy. But they very much are domestic dog size. They've got these long, lean legs, these long bodies, and that's due to their lifestyle. They are constantly really on the move, and because they do hunt by coursing, same as hyenas, same as the Ethiopian wolf, they've got to run, and have remarkable stamina. Now, if they're weighed down with a heavy skull and a really muscular body like a leopard or even like a lion, they wouldn't be able to sustain those running speeds. So it's like cheetah, long legs and slim bodies. They've got remarkable adaptations for life on the move. They really are not weighed down by cumbersome skulls or muscles. They've got to stay nice and light on their feet. But they do have strong jaw muscles. They do really have a powerful bite because they have to. And of course, they're a carnivore. They are part of the order Carnivora, so they do have that carnassial shear. Can gnasial shear is an adaptation of carnivores. It's the position of the upper molar and the lower molar at the side of the jaw that helps them slice through meat. But in saying that, their teeth are different from domestic dogs. They're much more defined, they're much sharper in terms of their molars and their premolars. More like shark teeth, really. And that's, of course, because they have to cut through flesh. Oh, here we go, everyone. Life on the move. So as I follow my doggies, we're going to send you guys across to Tswalu.
So we are very lucky now. We're sitting with a little group of bat-eared fox, and again they are, I think, equally as curious of us as we are of them. It's interesting to find them sitting in the road, and especially at this time of day. But I mentioned it yesterday that as we're going deeper into winter, these animals are starting to stay out a little bit later in the morning, and 100%. These guys are enjoying the morning sun. They found a little bit of a spot on the road where they're catching a bit of sun, and they're enjoying that morning sun. Trying to warm up after a long, cold night. From what I can see, it looks like at least two of them anyway, for sure, at least two of them are younger animals. So perhaps it's a group of siblings that we're looking at then. The little guys typically are a little bit more curious of us than what the adults would be. They're still learning the ways of the world out here, so quite happy to sit and watch us from a distance. You know, we've kept our distance to not spook them, and we're hoping they'll spend a bit of time with us. Again, very similar to the jackals, it is a species where adults pair for life. So whenever you see a group of bat-eared fox, you can expect it to be you can expect them to be mom and dad with a group of youngsters. Desmond, it's again another good question, whether or not they are diurnal. Bat-eared fox are recorded both day and night. So typically speaking, you'd find them more typically moving in the evening time into the night. But it is fairly common to see them in the day as well. So I wouldn't say they're diurnal. I certainly wouldn't say they're nocturnal. But for the most part, they'd be moving more at night. You know, a lot of the insect activity is in the evening. Certainly the things they're eating, they eat a lot of termites. So you get a lot more termite activity after dark, which would then almost force them to be more active in the evening. Coming into winter, they'll be spending a bit more time out during the day, and it's all temperature related, and temperature related not only for them but for the kind of things they're trying to eat. So they've just moved off around the corner. We're going to see if we can see what they're up to. Well, that's it's another good question. What is the difference between a jackal and a fox? They are both part of the canid family, so they're both part of the dog family. But I can only think it would be related to more the actual physical structure of the animal. Foxes are considerably smaller. Hang on, I'm going to stop here. We've picked up the foxes again. So yeah, like I was saying, that I would assume that like most species that are classified in a slightly different way, it would be related to their physical structure and their size, things like that. So jackals are, if I were to compare them to something, from another part of the world, they're a little bit more coyote-like. So physically a bit bigger, longer legs, bigger bodies in general, whereas the foxes are typically much smaller animals, physically much smaller. Well, it appears that these bat-eared foxes have had enough of us and have gone, no doubt, back towards their burrow where they'll be spending the majority of their day wrapped up nice and warm underground. So yeah, it appears the jackals have, the foxes have moved on. So we're gonna keep on with our original plan, which was to look for lions, and we're gonna be sending you back over to Lauren and her wild dogs.
They made a great decision, everyone. They chose to come into Chuma, not Torchwood. No offense, Torchwood, but it's a little bit tricky for us. So we're back on Juma, and they're very alert. Constantly communicating with one another, visual and audio. And that's what the hoo is all about, communication. If they lose one another, just like lions, they don't really like to be separate, but they will get separated if they're fleeing predators, or of course they're hunting, or they're just on the move. So they will be using their sense of smell, but it's better and quicker and easier to just call. And because of those huge ears, Mickey Mouse ears, they're able to pinpoint exactly where that sound is coming from, and that's what humans are not good at. Yes, we can hear there's something coming from behind us, but is it coming from the southeast to southwest to southeast? We're not good at that, really, because we're visual beings. But wild dogs are incredible at that, and that's how they will find one another, through that constant calling. They've got other vocalizations as well, but that's how they call over long distances when they're separated. But something caused mass alert there. Tlalamba was not far away from them, really. We've got lions on the property with Tristan. We've got the Inkohumas to the south. Sadly, they're on Little Gowrie, but really, there's a lot happening around us, and dogs will probably be able to hear all of that. Yeah, they've gone flat. That's good. I don't think they'll stay flat for very long, but at least for now. Stan, absolutely, yes, every single day. And they need to. They boast an 80% success rate, which is really incredible. They are remarkable. They're a hyper-carnivore. There's actually different levels of being a carnivore, believe it or not. Hyper, meso, and hypo. So a carnivore is not just a carnivore. You can get pretty technical about it, but they do hunt every single day. And they actually require more meat relative to their size than lions do. And that's because of their lifestyle, because of their body shape. But about 80% of their diet consists of impala, really. That's the bulk of their diet. So they will hunt every single day, and they'll make sure that everyone in the pack is fed. Impala's pretty big for a dog, but there's a lot of hungry mouse to go around, especially when a pack has puppies. So they may have to hunt multiple times to ensure that everybody's full. Whereas if you think of hyenas, when they hunt, it's a feeding frenzy. It gets very, very violent, lots of aggression at a kill site. They won't ensure everyone is fed. It's each to their own. Whereas it's different for dogs. And I think if I had to choose to be any predator in another lifetime, it would be dogs. You'll always have your pack. You always got your gang. And really, there's very little aggression between members of the pack. Whereas lions, you can see lots of aggression at a kill site as well, even though they do have that sort of social cohesive unit. It's so lovely to see dogs. I didn't actually see them on my last stint. I mean, my car didn't function too well during my last stint, but it's such a joy to see this animal. Mark, you're asking, do predators grow winter coats? I believe the predators, or mammals, do get more hair in winter. I could be wrong, but I do believe it gets very, very cold here. I mean, now it's actually quite nice and warm, to be honest with you. But when we first left camp, it was bitter. Everybody's wrapped up. I even saw Tristan with gloves and long pants. Can you believe it? But yes, their hair gets thicker. They do grow more hair in winter, I believe. And of course, hair is a feature of mammals. And it's not just your predators. You've got to think about your antelopes and even your scrub hares, mongoose. Everybody's going to feel the winter chill. But you will have noticed our sightings have picked up. And they often do in winter. They're hungry. Animals are cold. They need to eat. That's what warms them up. And of course, look at the vegetation. Look at the colour. Can you remember what it was like just a month ago? It wasn't like this. That's how you get the green season and you get the winter season. And it's really two different seasons out here. And we definitely see a lot more hunts for a multitude of reasons in winter. I wonder if they will go for a drink. If they continue heading north, they will reach Buffelshoek Dam. And I wonder if they will have a drink. There's something quite special about seeing a whole pack of dogs lined up at the side of the dam drinking. Something definitely scared them to the east. They're still quite alert in that direction. Okay, we may try to reposition to get a better view, and hopefully our doggies don't go anywhere.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a Wild Earth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature. The Mara Triangle is a jewel in the Kenyan conservation crown, and thanks to the dedication of the Mara Conservancy, it thrives as one of Earth's greatest national treasures.
We have been experiencing a reduction in the whale snails that we collect on a monthly basis, and this is basically attributed to our intense patrols.
Over the years, this courageous team of anti-poachers has reduced poaching to almost zero.
Mimi naitwa Stephen Olereso. Nimefanya kazi miaka 16 sasa. Kuanzia miaka 2002. Hao wanadamu ni wenye utua sana inaogofya ni wale wenye wanaenda kama ndovu. Wanatumia kama bunduki. Sasa hiyo ndio huwa inakuanga hatari sana kwa sisi.
As a result of the global pandemic and the massive reduction in tourist revenue, the Mara Triangle is facing a financial crisis. They need your help if they are to continue their ability to protect this magical land.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Well, we're still with our lions. They haven't really done very much. They're awake at this stage. But just alluding to what Lauren was saying, how it's getting cold, I've just watched lions move from shade to sun. That always tells you that things are not warm anymore. At this time of the day, 3-4 weeks ago, these lions would have been dying already and would have been seeking out as much shade as possible. There's one lioness that's in the shade, but the rest kind of have moved where they're getting a little bit of sun on their backs and just staying nice and warm. But yeah, they're just kind of watching out, looking. I think they're hoping for something to come down and drink, but nothing has arrived. The Avoca male is not hoping for anything. He's happy to have a nap, making one roar and walking 600 meters. It's a lot of effort for this fella. So he's down and out for now. And having a very, very good nap. So I think what we're going to probably do is leave these guys now. I just want to do a backtrack of them and just see if we can't find the rest of them, or at least find an indication of why they've split and why we have this kind of weird dynamic with the Avoca male and the young males together. Maybe there's, like I say, something happened up north that we can figure out. Also, you never know what else is around. I have not even had the radio on for more than 1 minute. You heard it now. That's the first thing I've heard on the radio this morning. We got lucky and found these lions straight away, and I just haven't felt like listening to the radio at all. So just kind of, I think it'll be nice just to go and explore. It's much quieter on the reserve this morning. A lot of the guys have left from the weekend, so it's nice and quiet, and therefore we don't actually know what's happening in the north. All right, we're going to leave our Talamatis to have a little nap. They'll be here the whole day if you want to carry on watching them. Remember, the damn cam is on them. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Ngala.
So on this very cool morning, we've managed to find a tawny eagle that's enjoying the early morning sun. And you can see it's also just enjoying the high perch of this tree, scanning around. The thing that stands out most for me, if you look just below its neck, on its chest, look how full its crop is. It almost looks like it's swallowed a tennis ball. So this eagle definitely been feeding on something, but it also looks like it might be making ready to fly off. Starting to move a little bit. Just before you came to us, it did defecate, so normally with large birds of prey, if you see them sit on a perch like that and they relieve themselves, and then normally shortly after that would be flying. Possibly they're just getting themselves more comfortable or even a bit lighter, and then they'll move off. But this one is just staying there for now. Still ruffling a little bit of the feathers. And every now and then it was using its beak just to scratch in between the feathers. Anders is asking, are eagles larger than hawks? Well, for the eagles that I know, yes, the eagles I know are larger than hawks. But in terms of the hawks that you might get in other parts of the world, I'm actually not 100% sure. I don't know all the hawks out there. There he goes. That was lovely. Yeah, so I don't know all the different hawk species around the world. There might be some that are larger, but for the ones that I've seen, the hawks are normally the size of some of the falcons that we get here, and the eagles are bigger than that. All right, well, we're going to continue with our drive, but maybe just for interest's sake, a little bit earlier we went past one of the watering holes, and it was interesting to see how quiet it was there. There was just one hippo. There were no birds. There was nothing calling, except for one bird we did hear call. And I want to show you in the book here. It was the Varose, get the light right, this one here on the left, the Varose eagle owl was the one that we heard calling around the waterhole. Very, very, very pretty bird. You can sometimes see it's got beautiful pink eyelids and very, very large. But now I think we'll continue with our drive. But just back to the tawny eagle, and with that crop being so full, most likely what it potentially was eating on, it could have caught another bird. They might even eat little lizards, small mammals, and sometimes even can take, the animals the size of a small antelope. Although I believe that we're going to continue on our drive to see what else we can find. For now, we'll send you back to Lauren and her wild dogs.
Something is spooking our dogs, and it's coming from the east, from the sort of right side. Now, Impo said he heard an elephant. Now, there probably absolutely was an elephant, but I'm not sure if that's what it is that's spooking them. They're not relaxed. And of course, they've always got to be on edge. They do have predators. A lion absolutely will kill a wild dog. They do also have to be careful of hyenas, although naturally we see them together a lot. It also wouldn't be a good situation for one dog to bump into a big male leopard. So they're hypersensitive to their environment, but I really can't pinpoint what it is that's spooking them. I mean, it's hot, but it's not too hot. And just like Tristan was saying, you spend the whole summer watching animals seek shade. And then as soon as winter comes, you watch animals seek sun because they need to warm up. They need to get their vitamin D, and it's chilly. You want to be in that sun. Okay, they're moving north, which is really where I want them to go, but they're just really not sure of something. Just go forward a little bit and go and see how many members of this pack we actually have. We're the only vehicle here now. How lucky is that? Critter Freak. I just love that name. I never get tired of it because I love critters. Oh my goodness, that smell. You are writing a novel. Wow, you must share it with us. Absolutely must share it with us. Because they are so wonderful, they deserve a novel. I'm trying to get my book started on the Drew McLaren and hyenas, but it's, finding time is never easy. Terrible excuse, I know, but Critter Freak, good luck. I think the order Kennedy, there's 34 of them. including the dogs, including the Ethiopian wolf. I do sometimes think it's slightly overlooked in comparison to the felids. So there's a lot more attention that goes to the cats, your cheetah, your lions, your leopards, and the canids are not always given that same level of attention. And of course, they deserve it equally, and I think that's such a huge challenge in conservation and education, is trying to get people to sometimes look at all these other species that need help. The pangolin, sharks. Yes, they're big and scary with big sharp teeth, and sometimes they bite humans, but they really also need help. Even manta rays. Not many people know much about manta rays, and I think that's a big challenge, and that's why on Wild Earth we stop for everything. Bees are in trouble, insects are in trouble. Everything deserves a little bit of love and attention. And it's just so fabulous that we get to show wild dogs across numerous properties. I mean, on Tswalu, I think Pridelands yesterday. And that's why I force myself to learn about animals that maybe I'm not too familiar with. There's tons of organisms I don't know much about, but I try to learn. I'm reading a book right now. It's called The Secret of Nature, I think, or The Secrets of Nature. And it talks about how, let's just look at the natural world like a huge, complicated, massive clock. You know, like Big Ben, with lots of knobs and dials and turns and pieces and cogs that all fit together in the most complicated manner. Now you take that clock apart and try to rebuild it. Oh, I don't think any of us can do that unless you are specialised in clocks and watches. Even then, it's going to be tricky. So all the pieces fit together. So we talk about trophic cascades, and we talk about if you wipe out the predators, then it's going to affect the prey. If you wipe out the prey, it's going to affect the predators. Absolutely. But there's so much more than just that. You put that clock back together, but you're missing just one tiny little screw or one tiny little piece. It's not going to function the same. And I think that's what I strive to do out here. We need to look at everything in terms of the bigger picture. You wipe out wolves from Yellowstone, yes, of course it affects the elks because they're the predators, but what does it also affect? It affects the rivers, it affects the vegetation, and it also even affects the beavers. But you don't think about that. And that's why, as humans, we do have to change our way. And I think that analogy from the book of the clock is something really worth keeping in your mind. Everything fits together out here. Everything has a place, a form, and a function. And once things start to change, it's not just the obvious that it's going to affect, it's everything else that we don't think about. I mean, how can removing wolves or eradicating the wolf population affect the river system? Exactly. That's not the first thing that would come to anyone's mind, but it did. And I'll go into that example a little bit later. I'll bring the book to show you all because I can't remember the title. And we'll dive into that. And that's why we really can't risk to lose any more animals. I mean, the Falkland Island wolf went extinct fairly recently. That's another canidae that we've lost, or a canid that we've lost. We don't want that to happen to the Ethiopian wolf, and then the wild dogs would be next. And luckily, I think conservation and awareness is on the rise, it's on the increase. People are trying, people are... Someone is having the best back scratch ever. Oh, sorry, that made me chuckle. But yes, we can all do our part, absolutely. So many species are at risk, some that we've not even heard of. And that scares me. They say that we're on the brink of another extinction. It would be mass extinction number 6. But wild dog populations are still very much in trouble, but they are on the rise. They are protected. A lot more people know about wild dogs than ever. Critter Freaks writing a novel about them, which was awesome. Are you impressed by that, doggos? Oh goodness, what do they hear now? Okay. I have a funny feeling these dogs are gonna get on the move soon, and I'll do my best to keep up with them. But for now, you guys are gonna go across to Pinda.
Can be on Pinda. It was actually Matt. Wow, look how fat she is. She looks like she's on the hunt. I mean, she keeps stopping and looking to the right, as you can see her doing now. See how her ears are flat on her head? Oh, is she not? So beautiful. And that beautiful bright tail just... There are some impala, I can hear them ratting down in the direction she's looking. And she looks kind of interested, but we know that she has been feeding for a few days on an impala. And you can see how fat she is. So she might not be completely interested. And you can even see how she's walking, her belly swaying like from side to side. There are also some warthogs off to the right that definitely haven't noticed her. Oh, she has gone down to a crouch. But she might just not want to be seen because she's not going into the grass or seeking any further cover. She's just kind of slinking away, probably hoping to go unnoticed. Yeah, this is the Ntamkosi female, so the same leopard that we very, very briefly were able to show you last night. Oh, see, she is going into the bushes there. How very interesting. All right, let us move forward a little bit. If our car allows it. We don't want to get too close and disturb her. But yeah, like I mentioned last night, and I don't know if we cut off before that happened, but we do think that she might be pregnant. So she is very fat because she has been feeding on some impala for the last few days, but she could also have a belly full of cubs, which is very exciting. She's just got to that thicket in front of us. I can see the warthog. I don't know, Odie, can you see it? Just behind that little tuft. It definitely doesn't know that there's a leopard nearby. has been spoiling us lately, although for the last few days and while she's been on this impala carcass, she's been quite kind of secretive with it and pulling it right up into the thickest part of where she was feeding on it. Maybe if she is pregnant, she's kind of like feeling a little bit overprotective and over secretive. So the last couple of days she has been a little bit difficult. Like we've been getting glimpses of her and then she's gone off into a thick bush again where you've literally not been able to see her at all. But in general she is definitely the leopard. I'm sure if you watch quite a lot you'll know that she's the leopard that we manage to see more often. Okay, I think that we are out just because there are quite a lot of people who are wanting to come and see this leopard, and obviously we can't see her at the moment. So we're going to leave and get
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the end of May and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth explorers, it's in your nature. The Endangered Wildlife Trust fights at the forefront of conservation, across the vast Karoo and sweeping grasslands, in remote pockets of forest, along road networks, across African skies, and in communities to conserve our wildlife and wild spaces. Help us to protect forever, together. Donate now at ewt.org.za.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalterns and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth. Day.
This may be the last view, everyone. The dogs are going into the block. Let me just move forward. no, there's still one here. I love when you see those little, I'm going to just inch forward a little bit, but they are starting to go into that drainage line where they will most likely stay the entire day. They're ignoring my wish of going to Buffelshoek Dam, aren't you guys? So once they go into that drainage line, we won't follow. We may go back down to the cut line. So if Miss Tlalamba has decided to make an appearance once again. It was so good to see her yesterday, really, really good. And I have to say, she was standing in front of the car, doing her usual posing, and I did struggle to see full mammary glands. We still need to have a better look, but I definitely saw that the last time, just before Steve found the cub. She was so full. There was no mistaking it whatsoever that she was lactating. But this morning, she still has that saggy belly naturally, but I didn't see any signs of very prominent mammary glands. So we do need to keep our eye on Miss Tlalamba. Many people ask if wild dogs are in trouble, why don't they interbreed? But they can't. They really can interbreed. It's not possible, especially with domestic dogs. That will really not happen. And they, of course, do share a common ancestor with wolves, naturally. They're part of the Canidae family. But, I mean, this is a few million years ago. So they're really not genetically compatible to interbreed with wolves or be it domestic dogs or any other canid. Interbreeding is just not possible. So the sort of selective breeding process that is applied to domestic dogs that probably we're all aware of, and it's formed many different breeds and some crossbreeds and some things are questionable, but that would absolutely never work with the African wild dog, I'm afraid. But they are more protected now than ever, absolutely. Susanna, I'm not really sure how that could ever be analysed. They do have incredible sense of smell, great olfactory capabilities, are very chemical, as with most canids, and their hearing is also absolutely incredible. They're both excellent senses, and I mean that whoo that I was referring to earlier, it's a long distance call, and it can actually be heard around 4 to 5 kilometers away, which is wow. And I think they're both excellent. To be honest, I'm not sure how you could compare that. They don't have to rely as heavily on chemical signals and chemical messages as do, let's just say, leopards, who are constantly on territorial patrol, smelling the odour fences of others, recognising who's there. Oh, is this another dominant female's territory? Is this another dominant male's territory? Oh, this female's in estrus. It's a little bit different for dogs. Of course, they're not territorial, but they absolutely they absolutely do have remarkable olfactory capabilities. So we may leave these dogs shortly. They are heading into the drainage and going to have a scratch around Buffelshoek Dam, but for now we're going to send you guys across to Ngala.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, where we've managed to find some lions in an area we didn't expect to find them. That is exactly how safari works from time to time. You get these little surprises. So this looks like it's one of the 1-year-old cubs, the young male. He's just left his mother and he's walking now towards some of the other members here. We've looks like there's 5 lions here. 2 sub-adult lionesses, and then the mother with the 2 one-year-old cubs. And yeah, you can see he's moved from the sun to join them there in the shade. It is actually starting to warm up quite nicely. But the exciting thing here is that this is some of the lions that we found last night. So yesterday afternoon, just before the sunset, we had 10 members of the Birmingham Pride, of which 5 of them were these ones we're looking at now. And it definitely looked like they were hunting last night. And we left them as they moved through the guarri bushes and hoping that they were successful. And it looks like that they definitely were. Some of these lions, you can see bellies are nice and round. And so look at that. So I'm pretty sure sometime after we left them, they managed to catch an impala. There was some wildebeest there as well, but I think they must, look at that. That's a pretty round belly there. And to put it into perspective for you, this was about almost 2.5 kilometers from where we left them. So this is how far they've moved during the night. And very happy to see that they managed to get something to eat. It actually links to our conversation from yesterday about how often they have to eat. And I was saying that I think these lions hunt way more than we would realize or even think. And often it's just during the night, they're moving around, they come across potential food like impala, make a quick hunt, eat, and then move off, and then find a place for the rest of the day to sleep it off. And you can just imagine with this, well, those full bellies and this fairly warm morning, they're just going to be doing exactly that in the nice shade here. It'll be interesting to see where some of the other members of the Pride are when we eventually move on. We might find them just around the next corner for all we know. But so far it just looks like it's 5 of them here. Anna Marie, I agree, it is so good to see them. And I was just very surprised when we found them here where we didn't expect to see them. So it was definitely a nice surprise. And always good to find them, and every day to be able to see what they've been up to, where they're moving, sort of just to be able to follow their life story as they continue day after day. Never gets boring following these lions. Looking at what they're doing now and where they've decided to rest, I think they are going to be choosing a lazy afternoon for the whole day. I think that'll be their theme for this day. But very, very happy to come across these lions. I think what we'll do is we'll leave them sleeping here in the shade, and we'll continue further on to see if we can't find some of the other members of the Pride. And for now, we'll send you over to Steve.
Oh, thanks, Fred. Sounds like everyone's having a fantastic morning. We've been on quite a nice walk. We find ourselves now on top of one of the highest points here in Pridelands, with a view towards the west and towards the Drakensberg Mountains. And it is really a spectacular morning. Look at the clouds forming with the dew point halfway up the mountain. Dew point is that level in the sky that is at a certain temperature that turns the water vapor into sort of a cloud. That's why you get that pretty level flat base there. And that's why escarpments are so important for weather, because moisture pushes up against the mountain, pushes up, hits the dew point, forms cloud, and then comes back onto the area in front of it as rain. That's why places towards the west in the deserts don't get much rain, because there's no mountain range to push up against. So the escarpment, the Drakensberg, that goes from the north here all the way around the coast, or should I say all the way around the plateau, is responsible for forests pretty much all the way down. Obviously the forests require much more rainfall. An indication of the clouds pushing up against the mountains does just that. Quite a beautiful scene, which I shall allow you to enjoy.
It's a tricky one. They're actually all flat. They haven't gone completely into the drainage. It is getting really hot now, and there's just those mottled bodies lying. And if Impo could be a star and just zoom out, what you'll see is what we can see, and it's not very much. You could easily drive past these dogs if they didn't pop their head up. Of course, the minute they pop their head up and you see those ears, you will see them. But, I mean, look at that. Nice one, Impo. Really, that is remarkable. You cannot see them. And I imagine they'll enjoy the sun for a little bit, but then it will get hot. That's the joy of winter in the Lofveld. It's cold at night time and cold in the morning. You don't want to set foot out of your room, but then it really does warm up and you get these fantastic, glorious days with blue skies. Not quite the summer heat, but there you go. That is a dog, I promise. So this time we really, really will leave them. I love surprise finds, I really do. Especially since I'm still sad about the hyenas. But of course, that's nature. Everything goes on. Everything moves, and that's just the hyenas moving on to their next stage of the clan development. We can't keep them all as tiny little cubs forever, unfortunately. And going back to earlier when I said specialised adaptions, I realised I probably didn't dive into that. But they are long-distance hunters, really. They will run and run and run and hunt for extremely long time. So they need their endurance. Formidable endurance hunters, really. And of course, they're going to need to be equipped, just like cheetahs. Cheetahs have very unique specializations not found in any other species because of the remarkable speeds that they can reach. So for wild dogs, they actually have extremely well-developed nasal passages. And this facilitates breathing during extreme exertion, extreme exercise, extreme movement.
The nasal passages allow for the breathing continuously. Pump oxygen in. You know what it's like when we go to the gym and you're struggling. Your muscles need oxygen. The heart pumps rapidly to get the blood all around the body to deliver oxygen. And that's why their nasal passages are extremely well developed. And as I mentioned, they do have the carnassial shear, which is really important for tearing and slicing fresh, as all carnivores do. And teeth, not quite like domestic dogs, really. They are more developed, more sharp like sharks for cutting. They have extremely acute hearing, which we already discussed. And that build of that body, they're long and lean to allow for rapid muscle recovery. So they're not weighed down with muscle like a lion. They don't need power. But they do need endurance. They do need to ensure that for running long distances, the muscles will recover quickly. And that's what their entire sort of physique is built for. And that's what allows them to make these endurance hunts, these long sort of endurance hunts. And that's how they are able to do it. When they do eat, they fill their tummies and they get that little pot belly, if you like. But it's really not like the felids. They will digest extremely quickly, and their tummy will not bulge like when you see Tingana, and that's where they got the nickname the sausage from. Dogs will not do that. They can't afford to be weighed down by their tummy. If a threat approaches, they must leave immediately. They must be able to run. They have a strong skull, but it's not too heavy. It's nowhere near the size of or weight of a hyena or a lion. Because if it's too heavy, it would weigh them down. All these specialized adaptations allow for their lifestyle. Okay, I am going to leave these dogs now to enjoy their snooze. Hopefully they'll be around this afternoon for more excitement. But for now, we're going to send you guys across to Ngala.
Okay, so we've left those 5 lions still sleeping on the road. And we're now heading to the area where Rowan actually found, I think it was the other 5. I don't know how many he had, but definitely the same, part of the same group. Closer to where we left them last night. So that's why I'm just driving nice and slowly so that I can scan carefully left and right. And not too far from here is where he left them. And it's going to be interesting to see if we do find them, to see if they've also got full bellies. Because then at least we know that they all had a good, successful night hunt. I actually just also had to stop and take one of my jackets off because it's warmed up quite nicely as well. It's interesting how the weather can change on a daily basis. But we are definitely expecting it to be a very, very cold winter. Especially with all the rain that we've had the last few months. There's water everywhere, and having all the water does make the area around it also a lot cooler. Austin's asking if any of the animals here hibernate during the winter. Not like you would find in, for instance, other parts of the world where bears would hibernate. The winters here aren't that severe. The animals are just better adapted to it. And you'll find that certain animals, like some of the reptiles, their activity levels might just be dropping because they, being ectothermic, means that they rely on, heat from the outside to warm themselves. People often use the term cold-blooded and warm-blooded. So reptiles, with it being a lot cooler, their activity does drop a little bit, and you don't see them as active just because of the coolness. But they don't hibernate per se. What we do get here that might in some ways be similar to hibernation is what's called estivation, but that's mainly where you have a severe drought and some animals become dormant. Like, for instance, crocodile can do that. If we go into a big drought and the waters have dried up and there's no more rivers flowing, what they'll actually do is they'll go into a hole or dig where there's a cavity in the bank of a river, and they'll actually go into a state of dormancy, and they'll wait out the drought period, waiting for the rains to come back. So I think that's probably the closest thing to hibernation we would have here. But apart from that, the animals, most of the animals we've been seeing really do fine. And the lovely thing about winters here is that in the peak of the winter, it's pretty much really just cold early morning and when the sun goes down at night. So the first hour of drive is pretty chilly. You're going to need a jacket, maybe gloves and a beanie. But once the sun's out like it's now and the wind's not blowing, it's lovely. You can take your jackets off. Pretty soon I'm going to take this fleece off as well, and it feels like a lovely, lovely day. This is actually my favorite time to be in this area. The next 6 months of the year is actually my favorite time to be out here. So from now till about October, because the weather is pleasant and I like the way that the vegetation looks. Yeah, it's really, really nice. We rarely go below zero here. I actually had a conversation with one of my colleagues the other day asking what's the coldest it's gotten here that he's aware of. And he said he'll get back to me, but if he remembers correctly, it's Tswalu, for instance. I just want to grab that branch up the road quickly. Get my mic plugged in. But still, -10 or not, anything close to zero is pretty cold. So I can imagine that 3 degrees here in the morning, plus driving in an open vehicle is going to be the chill factor. You're definitely going to feel it. So we still going to be slowly making our way to where Rowan left those other lions to see if we can still find them there.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature. For many years, Wild Earth has taken viewers from around the world to the Mara Triangle, a place of majestic beauty and abundant wildlife. But it wasn't always like this. Before 2001, it was infested with poachers. Illegal harvesting and hunting was rife. Now the situation couldn't be more different. The hard work and dedication of the Mara Conservancy has revolutionized this magical land. But now, the loss of revenue from tourism has created a grave crisis. The Mara Conservancy needs help if they are to continue protecting the reserve and supporting the local communities whose livelihood depend on its survival.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Taking this peaceful moment at Buffelshoek Dam, it would be really interesting to share something with you that I read yesterday, just going back on endangered species and ecosystems as a whole. You know, plastic naturally is a huge problem, and I think everyone is aware of that. But every minute, oh, hello lapwing, enough plastic is actually dumped into the world's oceans to fill an entire bin lorry. Entire lorry every single minute. And of course, that's just the oceans. I mean, at least just as much, if not more, ends up in landfill sites. It's constantly increasing due to human population rising and consumption. We just love plastic. Humans love it. It's cheap and it's extremely handy. That's my mom's favorite word. She loves handy things. But ultimately, we produce and use about 20 times more plastic every year now than we did 50 years ago. And less than 10% of that gets recycled. So the only positive of all of that is what I touched on earlier, that the focus on reducing plastic is definitely increasing around the world. We are aware of it. Humans are aware of it. What can we do? Some organizations are really changing. Some organizations are trying. People are trying. You'll never be perfect. No one can ever be perfect, but at least awareness is on the rise. And there was a report issued by the Ellen MacArthur, I remember that, it's very similar to my name, Foundation, which estimates that if this trend continues, the sea will actually contain more plastic than fish by 2050. And really, we're at 2021. We're not too far away from that. Let's think about it. That was an estimate that was given. But basically, there's maybe a solution in the form of insects. I'm completely obsessed by insects, and I read a lot about them right now. And there's been a discovery that a number of insects can actually digest and break down plastic. This is becoming a sensation. So take polystyrene, because obviously that's very, very common. Takeaway cups, takeaway boxes. We've probably all had polystyrene at some point, whether we like it or not. And it's also called isopor, and basically mealworms, several hundreds of them, were served some isopor as part of an experiment. And they were able to break this down, which is really, really incredible. They gobbled up, yum, 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 the isopor at record speed. And larvae of the mealworms, the juveniles, the youngsters that were actually raised on this diet, raised on polystyrene, isopor, pupated and hatched into normal beetles because they're part of the darkling beetle family, and they lived an entirely normal life. And they were fed polystyrene. Can you literally believe this? And I'm sure the study said within a month, 500 mealworms actually gobbled up a third of the 5 grams of isopor served to them. This is a small-scale experiment, but they completely broke down that polystyrene. And all that was left, I believe, was just some carbon dioxide, not masses, and poo, naturally, of course, beetle poo. And apparently the poo was pure enough and tested that it could actually be used in planting soil and helping fertilize soil. There was absolutely no difference in the survival rates between the larvae that received normal food, normal mealworm food, and those that were on the isopore diet. So, I mean, plastic's definitely not a superfood. It's definitely not ideal. But ultimately, this is the start of a new sensation. Insects do so much for us, so much for us. We're not even grateful for it as a human population. But can they also digest plastic too? So just to wrap up this really interesting study that I realized, they did an experiment because, of course, experiments in science, you need different groups to be able to compare. And they had the larvae that received the isopore, then the larvae that received some sort of cornflake, delish, and the larvae that received no food, and that's your control group. And basically, the larvae that received the cornflakes, yep, their body weight increased. They survived and thrived. The isopore larvae didn't put on any weight. Now that's interesting. They survived and thrived, but they didn't put on any body weight. But they still did better than those that starved and didn't have no food, which was the control group. So strictly speaking, what's happened here, the outcome is basically the beetles break down plastic, but they're not doing it themselves. As with a lot of organisms out here, there's actually bacteria in the gut. And the bacteria inside the gut are the ones that are doing the breaking down of the polystyrene. And how do they know that? Well, they gave the worms some antibiotics. And the antibiotics were to kill off any bacteria in the gut. We also have bacteria in our gut, of course. And once the bacteria was wiped out of the gut, they were not able to break down plastic anymore. So that's how they know, okay, the beetle is doing it, but it's also the bacteria in the beetle's gut that's doing it. So, of course, more research needs to be done, but what this tells us that maybe we have a solution. Yes, we need to reduce, reuse, recycle, come up with better alternatives, absolutely. But maybe insects can help us. They've helped us for years and years, and we're not even aware of it. Not just from the obvious, like pollinating, but so much more. We could not survive without insects. But the scary thing is they can survive without us. We just don't often think about that. I just thought that was fascinating, and I could share that with you. And the mealworms are not alone. There's actually other insects that can help solve the plastic problem, and we can come back to that later. But it's fascinating stuff. So I'm going to bumble slightly towards home now. Breakfast is calling. See what I can find along the way. We're going to send you guys down to Tswalu.
So we are still looking for lions, and we've had some decent tracks of a. So we're still here busy following up on some lions. We've had some good tracks, and they're unfortunately for us, they're moving through an area that we're not going to be able to follow them as such, but just judging by the direction they're going, we're going to head back to one of the bigger bodies of water. A local hangout for this particular pride, in the chance that seems to be the general direction they're heading. En route, we've had lots of interesting game around. There's been lots of kudus and gemsbok, and so lots of things out and about. But these lions look like they're on quite a patrol this morning, quite a mission. And yeah, like I say, if it goes according to plan, the route they've taken through the valleys will take us back to one of our nicer bodies of water, and that's where we're hoping they're going to end up. Get there. They're in the It at least has finally warmed up. That's always
Well, as you can see, we're just out of the vehicle at the moment because we are looking at tracks. They're not that easy to see. I don't know, David, can you get this one here? All right, so there you go. You can see at the back here we've got toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a nice big pad, 1, 2, 3. This is the back foot for, I think, Inhlangula. This is exactly where I had him a few days ago, and then he kind of walked up along here, but there's nothing coming out as far as I can see to the north of where we are. And the track itself is not the freshest track. It's not bad, but it's also not the best that I've ever seen. It looks as though it's kind of from early last night. So I just wanted to check where they go and have a little scratch around. We're also trying to see if we could find any signs of these 4 cheetah from yesterday, but alas, no signs of them. I have absolutely no idea where these 4 cheetah went, because there is not a track anywhere around the clearing where they had the kill, and there's impalas everywhere, so it's not like they're even lying up on that clearing. But I've done the northern side of them, eastern side, western side. I don't know if maybe yesterday they moved and the tracks were squashed by the various cars that were driving around. There's a tractor that's driven one of the big roads that I thought they might use, so that could easily have squashed their footprints. But yeah, nothing that I can find. So maybe they're still around. You never know. Maybe they actually south towards Djuma. I would be very, very surprised if they did, though, given the lion activity last night on Djuma and the roars that the Avoca male was making. Generally, the cheetah, when they hear that, move the opposite direction, not interested in dealing with lions. Just want to check, when I had Nhlangula the other day, he cut on this game path here, so I'm just trying to see if his tracks are still on the road, still walking there. But the more I look, the more even sure where Nhlangula comes from north, but I don't know exactly where, so I'm not sure if he has any siblings. I'm sure James Richard will be able to help us out and tell us if he does. Just trying to look at these tracks now quickly. Yeah, they're from early last night. There's a Janet on top here, on top of these tracks. I mean, they're nice, and they're worth following.
Sorry about that. I don't know where Tristan Dix has disappeared to. Him and Davy. They get up to all sorts of tricks on drive, let me tell you. But we see a tail just at the bottom of this very small termite mound. It's actually a really beautiful mound. There's a tail sticking out. Belongs to a plated lizard of sorts who was sunbathing. Clearly, as they have to. But since we drove past, he's gone inside. But we can still see you, buddy. He probably thinks we can, but that is not a stick. It is a tail belonging to, I can't tell which plated lizard from here, but it was very, very dark, almost black. A lot of reptiles are not essentially change in color, but they do lighten and darken with response to their temperature because they are ectothermic. So my bearded dragon Floyd used to be very, very dark in the morning when it was cold in the house and it's winter. Obviously, we have his system set up. And, of course, once all the lights are on and it gets a lot warmer, he starts to light up. And it's the same with this lizard who's not going to show himself. Good morning. And winter is tough for reptiles. Their diet just immediately changes. The plethora of insects has diminished. Yes, there are still insects around, of course, but it's not the same as that hubbub, that buzz of summer. So they have to adapt. It's cold. It really is cold. So you will still see reptiles, but not like you will see them in summer, naturally. I think this little guy's too shy. Shall we bumble him, Paul? I want to just check this cut line, just to see what else we can find. He's gone inside now. That lizard is not coming back out, that's for sure. It's much easier to find predators because they are moving during the day. Liam, the plated lizard has a very interesting relationship with the mongoose, and I've had some incredible sightings. I've actually got some wonderful photos of that moment. The dwarf mongoose and the plated lizard, of course there's many different types of lizard, they do have a relationship. They are not a threat to one another. And when two species of completely different sort of animal groups come together, just like the dwarf mongoose and the hornbills, they're not a threat to one another. And there's obviously been something that has evolved to realize, there's a relationship here, a symbiotic relationship. We can help each other, buddy. And normally the dwarf mongoose have a network of mounds that they will use in their small territories. So you won't find them sleeping in the same sleeping sites every single night, but they will move. They will use that network, and whichever one is nearest as the sun is going down, they're going to dive in. But there may be a plated lizard inside there. I will come back to that point in just a little bit later. I'll finish your question, I promise. But for now, I'm going to send you guys to Pinda. Walking off into the... Welcome back. We're back with this leopard, but as you can see, she's just snuck behind a bush. I do want to move forward, but I'm very worried that our signal's going to drop as we do that. She's just sitting there in the shade. Okay, I'm going to risk it and sneak forward. Cool, I'm going to just give it a go. Oh, she's coming out again. Come. Kez, make your way to the off-roading from Old Main Gate. Affirmative. Sorry, just letting someone else come into the sighting. There was a warthog that came past earlier where she is. Okay, we're going to try and sneak forward again. Oh dear. We'll sneak forward if we are allowed to. Sorry about this. Okay, just going to give the vehicle a little bit of time to warm up. Hopefully it will... Oh my gosh. This is very frustrating. Especially things as it's been starting perfectly all morning, and then at the critical leopard moment decides... Okay, well, thank you to Tristan while we're having these car issues, but I'm sure that we will be able to show you her again soon. Ugh.
Oh no, Kim, I'm sorry to hear that you're having car troubles. That's never nice. Been down that road more than enough times. So I've lost the truck now. Unfortunately, it's hit the main road where multiple vehicles, including Marcel, drive every morning when he comes and does the equipment on the long pole area. But it looks like it maybe is cut off towards Rubbing Post Dam. I'm going to just check the dam. If there's nothing there, then I had a track for a male leopard on Tambuti Road, which is the next road down, but it was going south. Now, normally that area is Tingana, it's not Hlangula. So if this is Hlangula, it's an interesting thing because he's pushing further and further to the southwest. And that's, to give you an idea of where Tamboti Road is, it's directly north of Weatila Camp, but close. It's not far at all. So that's right into the heart of where Mulawati normally moves around. Obviously, we know Tingana just kind of floats at the moment. He's not really as active in terms of scent marking and vocalizing, but Tlangula is. So it'll be very interesting to me if he went that direction. Oh, the light is so bad at the moment for tracking. I can't see anything from here. It's like a white road that we're looking at the moment. Really not easy to see any semblance of tracks. Yes, Rusty, stop complaining at me. I think Rusty's still in low range. Rusty is in low range. Alright, so let's just turn here. Just want to check Rubbing Post Dam. I know Tingana likes it down here and Mulawati, but it could, I suppose, also be Mulawati. It's possible. Interesting, actually. Sometimes I wonder, it's like that's the problem is with the tracks like this, it's one of the big boys, and Tingana, Tlangula, and Mulawati all have very similar sized feet, it's not easy to tell whose is who. Alright, sounds like Kim is back up and running, so let's send you back across to her with her leopard.
Okay, welcome back. We did manage to move. We managed to follow her, and she has gone straight back to her carcass. And there really can't be much left of it. What did she just do there? She ran quite fast. That was weird. Oh no, she's still there. I can just see a little bit of movement, see at the bottom of the V. Just saw her tail moving a bit. Oh, I can see her tail on the other side now. She's feeding. I can hear her crunching again. I can just see her tail. Okay, we can see a bit of her. I don't know what happened there. She kind of leapt. Yeah, but there really can't be much left on this carcass because, like we said, she's been here for a good few days. Or she might drag it out into that little window, which will be great. Oh, no. Forward again. She's doing very well to keep herself directly behind that tiny little bush, trunk, sorry. Get your words out, Kim. There's the head. Yeah, someone mentioned earlier that Tabankoski's been treating us for the last few days, but I think this is how she's been treating us. She's been right in this exact area here. There you can see she's actually biting and pulling bits of meat off of there. You can just see by the jerk of her head every now and again. But yeah, this is how she's been treating us. She's gone into the thickest bush that she can find. And this is all we've kind of been seeing of her, except for if you're lucky to kind of see her coming out or going into this thicket. There must be so many flies. I can't see any at the moment, but oh, now she's lying down on it. Or she just lay down. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, well, at least she's kind of settled down a bit. She is being secretive, but At least she's not kind of like being overly secretive. Like, it is a little bit open there where she is. She's just right behind that trunk. But I mean, the last couple of days she's literally been hiding underneath like very, very leafy bushes. And that is, I think, or we think, because she might be pregnant. And so she's just acting very cautious and protective. I might try and slide back a little bit. No, she's up again. Okay, I'll go a little bit back, see if there's not another window through there. She's like up and down though. I'm not quite sure what she's trying to do with this thing. How's that, Eddie? Got her there, yeah. Yeah, but she's up and down. She's very actively kind of doing whatever she's doing. Obviously, we can't see exactly what that is. Yeah, Anna Marie, I mean, I used to think that she liked being seen, so she didn't want to hide herself. But I mean, you're absolutely right. She's doing a very good job of hiding herself. And she doesn't even seem to be trying. She's just chosen a very good thicket to hide herself inside of. Because, I mean, she's moving around quite a lot in there, but we're still struggling to see her. She's standing up, though. And she kind of looks like she keeps doing like a tugging motion every now and again. It's like a big branch behind her that keeps bouncing every time she tugs. I wonder if her carcass isn't maybe kind of stuck on or under that branch and she's trying to get it free. Gosh, I haven't ever really concentrated on the rosettes on her tail, but they're quite spectacular, actually. No, Fiona, leopards are quite slow eaters. And like I mentioned earlier, she's been feeding off this carcass for maybe 3 days now. And she'll catch it, she'll drag it up into a thick bush like this, one that you can see here. And she'll try and cover up the scent of the blood and the scent of herself by scraping dirt and sand over it, and then she'll push it up underneath there so that nothing else can see it, so no other predators or scavengers such as jackal or vultures will find it, and then she'll move to and from the carcass over those few 3-4 days, and yeah, they feed on it until it's pretty smelly and quite rotten. It's quite a hot day here on Panda, and has been for the last couple of days, so it has been, she's just plopped down, has been getting more and more rotten sitting in the heat of the day, and she'll still carry on eating it for those few days. They're not very kind of frantic or quick eaters, unlike cheetah. Cheetah will feed on a carcass and finish it very quickly, within a day probably, possibly a little bit longer, but they don't want to be around that carcass for too long, and they definitely don't want to be around it when it starts to smell. So as soon as it starts smelling, before it even starts smelling, the cheetah will get as far away from the carcass as possible, because they don't want to attract any other predators that may cause them harm, because they are kind of the weakest of the predators. So they need to stay out of the other predators' way. Leopard are not as worried about that or as bothered about that. So even after it's very stinky, they'll stick around it. They know that if something does come, then they can just quickly sprint up a tree or pull their carcass up into the tree. And all animals have their different tactics for avoiding their kill being stolen. Lion are just big and strong and can fight off any attackers. Leopard will generally just either stay hidden or use a tree, and then cheetah will just eat as fast as possible and then move away from the carcass. Yeah, she does seem like she's having a great time. I just can't imagine why, because as I said, I don't think there's that much food left on that carcass, and the food that is left there is probably pretty nasty, and she's probably being disturbed by a lot of flies at this point as well, which would have been attracted to the carcass. Oh, she's up. See, what is she moving around there? I just saw a big piece of wood move out the way. Oh no, that was the rib cage of the impala that she's eating. I thought it was like a big piece of wood. Okay, I can't really see her anymore. She's really moved right behind that big piece of, that big trunk. Yeah, I might try and reposition again. I really hope that you stay with us, but let us have a go. There's no point at... Are you leaving? Okay, the other vehicle is here. I think they've got quite a good view. They said that they are going to move out, so once they've gone, we will take their spot and see what they've been looking at. Okay, just once we're going to move into this new position and just see if it is any better than what we've got here, because obviously we don't have much here, just a little bit of movement. Oh, and a bit of carcass as well. But yeah, we're going to move around, or rather look at a leopard than leopard food.
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth explorers, it's in your nature.
The reason why we see that wildebeest by himself is because he's a male, or a bull, as we typically would call him. And what he does is that he marks and defends an area. Essentially, he is looking for the ultimate piece of land or prime property. Needs to have good grazing, needs to have a water source close by. And not too far away from here, there's a sickle bush thicket that would provide just enough shelter from the wind and the rain.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at and beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through and beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth, daily.
Well, unfortunately, we lost our leopard track in amongst the Talamati Pride's track. It kind of goes into it on top of the lines and then there's a mix-up there with the lines where we found them, and from there I can't find where it goes. I think it's just gone straight into the drainage line that leads towards Gari Dam, which would suggest that it's Mulawati. Could be Tingana, but still likelihood Mulawati would be my guess as to who that is. But very interesting to see where he's come from, because that, like I say, I saw in Klangula and I've seen Tingana both on that road recently. So it seems like a bit of vying for attention in that section between all the boys. Klangula was very vocal the last time I saw him there and marking all over the place. So yeah, we'll see. It could also be him. You never know. Male leopards do funny things at funny times, and sometimes they kind of move through. The rest of the Talamati Pride has gone, by the looks of things, they went towards sort of Jacana, Hardequil, Sydney's Dam area. So I don't know, maybe they came across those Plains Camp boys there again, or potentially the tortured male, I suppose S8 male, but I'd be very surprised because he was all the way at Nkoro yesterday morning. What he's doing down there, I have no idea. I suspect he's following the tortured females, but what was interesting is that the guys were telling me that they had 5 tortured females with, I think it was 9 or 11 cubs, somewhere around there, and the 2 Kruger males on Nkoro Open the night before, and then they came out the next morning, and it was this one tortured lioness with this S8 male. So I don't know if he's just followed a female all the way down to mate with her. I mean, he's going to get himself into trouble down there, because even though that one Kruger male limps, 2 against 1 is never great odds for a male lion. So he needs to be careful, that boy. But maybe on his way back or up, because I saw apparently there's tracks going through Torchwood, which would be, I would imagine, him. Maybe on his way back up he's bumped into the Talamatis, I don't know. I didn't hear a lot of noise last night to indicate lions fighting, but it's just so odd, the composition of the lions that we found this morning and their behavior this morning. Seems like there's something that's been disrupted there. Haley, I've never personally seen the lions hunting hippos here at Djuma. And I mean, we've obviously seen the Avoca male feed off it.
Have you got it? Welcome back. We've repositioned, and it's actually a much better view from this side. Yeah, it looks like she's actually, like what I mentioned earlier, what she'll do to cover the scent of her kill is she'll actually scrape the grass and dirt up over the blood just to try and cover it up. That's what it looks like she's doing at the moment. Oh, no, she's feeding again. Goodness gracious, can she fit any more? I mean, we saw her earlier, how big her tummy was. And I have had a glimpse of the carcass, and there actually is quite a bit more. Quite a bit more than I thought there would have been. She's not just tearing it off, but off the bone. There's actually like a big kind of piece of meat left on there. I can't see what part of it. It looks like it might be the rump or shoulder, which has got plenty of meat. And she's definitely found something else there to chew on. I mean, the rest of the carcass and that big lump of meat I was talking about is behind her. About a meter behind her. There she is. See how she's pulling like that? And that'll be using the grass to cover up the scent. So it is starting to smell a bit now. I think that's why she'll be starting to try and cover up the smell. There you go, pulling. Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked that we got to spend so much time with her, especially since every sight we've been getting of her recently has been so brief. Just watching her come in. Oh, she might even do us a big favour and come out into the open again. Oh. Obviously, as I say that, she's going to go and sit down right behind the thickest parts of the bush again. And so ironically, I think that if we'd stayed where we were 2 minutes ago, we'd have a beautiful window in there. Oh, there you go, just cleaning herself. Oh, is she not pretty? I'm also, I'm very, very, very happy to spend so much time with her. Also, I was saying to Owen, like, I'm just about to go on leave for 2 weeks, so won't be seeing her for a while, and I'm very chuffed to be able to spend some time with her. Okay, guys, we are nearing the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget that this afternoon times are changing to 2:30 South Africa time, and we'll be ending at 6:30. But what a way to end my cycle and the show today with the Tabankosi female leopard. She is just stunning, still just cleaning away. She'll probably actually settle somewhere around here for the day. It is starting to heat up quite a bit. And she'll find somewhere nice and cool to settle down for the day after she's finished grooming. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and please join us again on Wild Earth.